Picture this. You spent the past decade working extremely hard, getting every project done on time, under budget, and when the opportunity for that promotion finally presents itself, they don't choose you. This is frustrating beyond belief. I've lived it myself a number of times, and recently I've been having conversations with multiple directors and vice presidents that got passed over for that VP or CIO role. And they're frustrated and confused and disheartened, and they don't know what to do, and they start thinking, well, this isn't the place for me. I'm just going to go somewhere else. Well, the unfortunate reality is that you did this to yourself. You were so hyper-focused on getting the job done, being that operator, solving everybody's problems, that you lost sight of what's most important as you start ascending into the corporate ranks. So today, I'm going to spend some time digging into what is so important when you start getting into the executive ranks. To start things off, I want to share a little bit of a story. Most of you know I spent most of my career in IT and then started leading HR. And before I was given the opportunity to lead safety and transportation and all the other teams that I had a chance to lead over the years, I was focused on stepping up and leading all of the vice presidents across all of the corporate functions. Unfortunately, a decision was made to bring in somebody from the outside. Now, I didn't really agree with the decision, partly because I wanted the role, partly because I didn't think the person was really qualified. Now, in the end, they didn't stay with the organization for very long. I think maybe 8 or 9 months, and then they were exited. And so then I thought, okay, now's my shot. Now I'm the logical step. And it wasn't me. Once again, someone else came over from the business and started leading all of us. And the wind was just taken out of my sails 2 times that I was passed over. A year or so goes by, and then that person goes back into the business on the operations side of things. And then we were all told, well, y'all are doing fine. You don't need anybody leading all these teams. Fine. Okay. And then as time went on, they eventually ended up selecting me to lead all of the corporate functions. And as I've reflected back, I wanted it so bad. But the reality was I wasn't ready. I didn't know how to do the things necessary to operate at the senior executive ranks. The people that held my career progression in their hand didn't know who I was, or they just viewed me as that operator that was only getting things done. They didn't view me as the strategic visionary. Even though I thought I was, they didn't view me in that way. I was still more focused on communicating technology and HR and project management outcomes than speaking at the strategic level, than building relationships across all functional domains within the corporate functions, but then also the business unit leaders for each of the companies that we had acquired over the years. I hadn't spent enough time understanding their needs, understanding how myself and all of our teams could make their lives easier. I had made myself indispensable in the role that I was in, but they weren't viewing me as that senior executive. And I thought, I'm indispensable. There's no way they can let go of me because I'm working all these hours. I'm doing all these crazy things. Our team just deliver. And I had built this ceiling for myself. And so one of the things that you really need to focus on is how do you start looking up? How do you start operating at the next level? This can be especially challenging because we don't always get a lot of exposure in operating at the next level. So they go outside, they bring someone in. And the unfortunate reality is the people that they bring in aren't always capable, competent, or qualified. So let's think about why. Why would they hire from the outside? Well, the perception that this person can think at the strategic level, can do big things, that weighs into it a lot. Did they have some sort of executive presence? Every time they entered the room, people just listened to them. Not always fair, but people who have honed and refined their communication skills over the years, who can confidently walk into any room with any person and communicate their message clearly, they will win them over. So these are some things that we really have to dig into, and you have to start to understand, how do you shift what your brand is in the eyes of all of the senior executives in the business? And the first thing that you have to focus on is building visibility with the right people. You've done an incredible job as a leader. You've been focused on developing the people on your team, setting them up for success, and then just grinding and grinding and grinding. But you didn't have enough time to build those relationships with all of the executives across the business. And this includes the executives that you think are idiots and you don't like them. That doesn't matter. You have to build relationships with as many people as possible. And the more time you spend with them, the more you will start to understand how their business operates. The more you understand how their business operates, the easier it will be for you to bring solutions to the table. I also highly encourage people to go to networking events, conferences. Don't just go to the developer conference so you can learn more about code. Go to C-level conferences where they are speaking about strategy. They are speaking about business outcomes. Bonus points if you can get yourself on stage. I'm going to get into that here in a little bit, but there is such an incredible opportunity at these networking events that exist. I spent far too many years ignoring the whole event space because I told myself this story, that's just a waste of time. I don't want to play the game. I don't care about networking with people. I'm focused on results. But when you attend these events, you start to get a better understanding of what is exactly going on in the competitive landscape. What are all of your business competitors doing with their technology, with their people solutions? These are the things that you have to get visibility into, because when you start building relationships across all of the senior leaders and you start attending these events, you start understanding what's going on across the industry as a whole. By listening to your peers that are at these events, you are able to come back with more solutions, and you can position it as, hey, Joe, this is what I'm seeing out there. This is what some of our other competitors are doing in this space. Have you thought about that? All of a sudden, Joe now knows that you are in tune with what's going on from a technology perspective out there in the world. That it's not just, oh, this is what I'm seeing with our data. It's, this is what I'm seeing with our data, and this is what our competition is doing. So whenever you start doing all of this, you start learning how to translate your work into business outcomes, not just technical deliverables. They don't care about the technology. Spoiler alert, they care about making money. So if you understand the business challenges and know how to solve those with technology, all of a sudden, they start to view you in a different light. This segues into learning how to effectively communicate. I know. You think that you are communicating effectively because it makes sense to you. Just because it makes sense to you does not mean it makes sense to other C-level executives and other vice presidents in the business. I would highly encourage you, spend some time learning about different behavioral styles. There's tons of assessments out there in the world. There's DISC and Berkman and Culture Index and Enneagram. It doesn't matter which one you choose. Start doing a little bit of research to better understand how to use them. You will learn more about yourself and how you are perceived by others. But once you really start to wrap your head around it, then you learn how to adapt your communication style to the people in the room. If you go have a conversation with an HR professional, you better speak with them differently than you do the developers on your team. This is foundational whenever it comes to communication, especially at the executive level. You learn how to size somebody up very quickly, understand where they fall, and then adapt very quickly and on the fly so that all of the things that you're saying actually land with them. Then you have to start positioning yourself for the next role. You do this by building capacity. You build this capacity in your team. You should be building the people on your team as your replacement. Every time before I stepped into leading a new team, I had built and developed my director or vice president to a point where they could lead the team on their own and they didn't really need me. This is a mental reframe that can be challenging for us because as an individual contributor that's performing at a high level, we tie so much of our identity to the work that we can get done. The higher you ascend, the more you need to lean into how can I help them be as productive as possible? How can I build them to a point to where I don't even need to be involved with leading this team? That's a scary thought. And I've spoken to many managers and directors who are like, well, if I do that, then they're going to let me go. I can promise you, if you build a team that performs so well that they don't need you, they are going to give you another opportunity to do that with another team. Because at the end of the day, they want many high-performing teams in a business. And if you build a brand and reputation for developing high-performing teams, and then you have capacity to go to networking events, to spend more time with all of the executives in the business, all of a sudden they're going to think, oh, wow, Sean's got some capacity. His team's running like a group of rock stars. He has the ability to take on more. Let's give him more. Let's give him the opportunity to do this over and over so that we can have more high-performing teams in the business. Here's the hard truth. You have to stop waiting to be discovered. You have to stop thinking that the C-suite and the vice presidents above you are prioritizing your ability to progress in your career. Of course, there are leaders that will do this for people on their team, but they are few and far between. You are the only one that can take control of your life and open doors for that ascension to the next level. The people that get promoted, they're not always the best operators. They're the ones that leadership can already envision in the seat. So you have to put that picture in their head. They need to view you as a CIO before they will ever consider giving you the title or the comp or the prestige that comes along with that big title. At the end of the day, you have to understand that it's not just about delivering results, not at these levels. It's about relationships. It's about your executive presence and your personal brand. And yes, results. When you start stacking all of these things on top of one another, you become the next logical choice. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys. This is kind of a big topic to parse through. I understand how frustrating it can be to be passed over for the promotion, but it's not the end of the world. It gives you an opportunity to learn, to grow, to become that leader that is undeniable, that you will absolutely be. You just have to think differently and you have to work differently. I want to leave all of you with a little bit of homework. Ask yourself, what is one relationship at the senior executive level that you've been neglecting? And then go nurture that relationship. Spend a little bit more time building trust. Spend a little bit more time asking them meaningful questions to better understand what keeps them up at night. Once you have that answer, come back with a solution. Go above and beyond. This has to exist above and beyond your day-to-day duties. But when you start bringing solutions to these executives throughout the organization, then you will be the next logical choice. I've been having a lot of conversations at these executive events that I've been speaking at recently, and there's one topic that keeps coming up, and that is how to effectively communicate with your board. So next week, I'm actually going to dive deep into that topic and share some of the lessons that I have learned over the years in interacting with and communicating with different boards, and also some of the lessons that I've been learning from peers that are also speaking on this topic at conferences. So that will be dropping next week, and looking forward to seeing you guys there.